Hello there, and welcome to the Revenue Through Reputation show. I'm Brandon Lee, and I'm going to be honest with everybody. Man, I'm nervous. This is different, and some of you know I'm a co-host of the Mastering Modern Selling show. We've got 130 episodes, but this solo thing, it's a little nerve-wracking. I really understand. When I talk to a lot of CEOs or sales leaders about things like shows and podcasts, and they say, I don't know if I could do it. And here I am. So I'm pushing through the fear um, to bring this new show. It's a show that I have been thinking about and wanting to do for a long time. I'll give you a little bit of my background and why I think this show needs to be done. But hey, I want to invite you all. First of all, thank you everybody for showing up. If you're on live on LinkedIn or YouTube, thank you so much. Please be sure to subscribe to either the YouTube channel or the LinkedIn page for Revenue Through Reputation. And then if you're on the podcast, thank you so much. Please subscribe if you like what you hear. I'd appreciate the review in order to help us get this show out in front of more people. Well, hey, I'm gonna jump. Oh, the last thing is I want to invite you all if you're on live on YouTube or LinkedIn or Facebook. I think we shot it over there as well. And you want to ask a question, make a comment, do anything like that, throw it in there. It pops up and we can see it, and then I've got Hatham, who's helping me on the back end, who's my producer. Who, if you hear the voice of God at any point, that's Hatham. And so we'll be taking a look at the comments, and we'll get those up. So Andrew McNerlin, thank you so much. You can do it. I love it. All right, so hey, let's jump in, and what I wanted to start today with a story. I Aloha, Bob Britton, Juana, Anthony. Thank you all so much. I appreciate it. I This is a personal story. I was at the airport and I was sitting at the gate. I had my AirPods in. I was on my computer. I was trying to get an email off to my team before I jumped on the plane, and I got a tap on my shoulder. And I looked up, and there was a woman who I didn't recognize, and she said, "Brandon!" And I went, "Hi," but I didn't know who she was. And I stood up, and she said, "Hey, Natalie from LinkedIn." And I'm trying to catch up, and I go, "Oh." And I knew we were connected on LinkedIn, and I was trying to place it, and we gave each other a hug. And she said, "Oh my gosh, Brandon, I have been watching your show and seeing your content. I have some customers I need to get referred over to you. I'm running late. I'm heading to my plane. Can we get together in the next week or two for coffee and talk about it?" And that was not quite a year ago. And now Natalie has become a good friend, and she's become a partner with Fist Bump. And the reason I shared that story is our reputation precedes us. I was connected to Natalie. I had never met her in real life, but the consistency of my show and my content kept me in front of her, kept me top of mind with her. And when she saw me in the airport, she felt like she knew me, to a point that she came and introduced herself and gave me a hug, or said hi, I guess, and gave me a hug. And now we're doing a lot of work together, and she's become a good friend. I just want to share a quick story about Chris Dunn. And Chris, if you're out there, man, big shout out. You've been an inspiration to me. Chris joined our community a little over a year ago now, and I love the story that Chris had. He had sent an email. Chris is the head of business development for Blue Hive Exhibits. So if anyone, you need exhibits, I got trade show seasons in full swing. You got fall coming up. Chris Dunn is your guy. But he had told about sending an email, a cold sales email out, and the gentleman who received it responded with, "Hey Chris, I feel like I already know you from all the posts that you do on LinkedIn. Yeah, let's schedule a call and have a conversation." The reason I shared these stories with you all is because this is 2025. It's the world that we live in when it comes to digital and building our reputations through digital. Now, I think, I'm a Gen X. Um, I think for a lot of Gen X and baby boomers, we think this whole like content, this digital, this LinkedIn stuff, we don't really need it. But I want to appeal to you this way. We have spent our entire careers networking. And at the core and the foundation of networking, it's who do you know and who knows you? Because when you have that reputation, you have a larger network, well, we get more people responding to our calls. We get more people responding to emails. We get people walking into our booths because they walk by, they look in, they go, I know you. And they walk in and they have a chat or they introduce themselves. We get more referrals when people know you. You get somebody that sends you an email or LinkedIn connection and says, oh, I was talking to so and so and they told me that I should reach out to you. I need help in these areas. It's just networking, and we have been networking our entire careers. So I want to address something as we talk about leader-led content. Um, there's a couple of factors that I find really prevent leaders from jumping in. And the first one is fear. And it's real. And I get it. We are scared that we're going to make a mistake. We are scared that we're going to say something stupid, that we're going to put our reputation at risk, we're going to put our company at risk, and we're going to ruin uh, the reputation and the credibility that we've created over the last 20 to 30 or more years. It is a true fear that we have. And I don't want to discount it, but I do believe there are ways that we can overcome it, putting some bumpers, if you will. I like to think about, have you ever taken your kids bowling when they were little and they put those bumpers in the gutter so not every ball goes in the gutter and it's a horrible waste of time? I think putting some bumpers up around our topics is the best way to do that. But we'll address fear in some other episodes. But I think the second thing is with leader-led content is that if you're not doing it, it could be costing your company millions of dollars. And when leaders are known, and you think about a leader at a trade show, been going to the same conference, the same trade show 15, 20 years, and they've networked well. They walk around and people are like, hey, I see you. And oh, hey, there you are. And they're shaking hands and kissing babies. And people come into their booth because they have a relationship with them. They've known them over time. They've seen them lots of times. That's really what we're missing. And when it comes to your sales team building pipeline, comes to HR, recruiting new team members, it comes to retaining your existing customers. When leaders have a voice, when leaders are known in the industry, when they're consistently sharing content and people are engaging with it, and they're seen as kind of the glue of an industry, and it builds that reputation, it builds that credibility, and it more quickly builds the company brand. So visibility is such a key to growing our influence, and it directly impacts teams' pipelines and recruiting and retention and even employee retention. When team members see us creating content and sharing our experiences, it adds humanity to the company. So many companies right now, we all look the same. So many companies look the same. Their marketing messages are basically the same. Their value propositions are basically the same. But we have this uniqueifier. I love that fake word, right? Uniqueifier. Anybody else make up words just because it's the right word, even though it's not real? Uniqueifier. The perfect uniqueifier for any company is the personality, the humanity of CEOs, C-suite, and sales leaders and other leaders, because that uniqueness is the differentiator. That uniqueness allows other people to allows you to stand out and be remembered. I had a meeting with who's now a new customer. I had a meeting a few weeks ago, and we had a coffee meeting, and I asked, I said, well, how did I come up? Like, how did you remember me? And he kind of chuckled a little bit. He's the CEO of a company. And he said, well, Brandon, I remember, I always think about, I remember this post that you did. And it was probably several years ago, but it was you and your daughter on a hiking trail. And then I don't remember what the message was about, but you were equating hiking to business and to the challenges that we face as business owners. And that's how he remembered me. So here's the learning in that I hope I can emphasize and help you see this for the potential for your businesses. Our personalities, our humanity is unique, and it stands out, and it makes us different, and it makes us remembered. So if your competitors are all about company brand and value proposition and um, business, 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 and your company's able to show up with content from your CEO's voice, your CEO's experience, sharing those experiences and those thoughts and those insights that they've developed over the years, well, then you stand out. You give your buyers, you give your industry something different that is remembered by the human heart. I'm a big believer that our human hearts are designed to connect with other human beings. And yeah, there's a bunch of different personality traits and things like that, but we're designed to connect with other human beings. So when we display some of our humanity, which is within business and our experiences, we are more easily and for longer term remembered. So, as leaders, we have this challenge in front of us. We have this opportunity to lead our teams with leader led content and let our experience, our voice, be a big part of helping open doors and create opportunities. Or we have the decision to continue to be invisible. Here's my push. Here's my big belief. This is 2025. Content, digital content, video, written, and other, and tools like LinkedIn and YouTube, especially LinkedIn, it is the most important, most used business platform of our era. So if you're a CEO in 2025 and you refuse to engage content, especially with LinkedIn, then you're not embracing the most important business platform of your time. I believe that CEOs should have this as part of their job description, that leader led content is a must for CEOs who really want to stand out and make a difference and lead with their voice and their content. So I got a couple of things that I'm going to wrap up. Number one is a question. How often have you, as salespeople or leaders in a company, ever asked your CEO to come join a meeting? Or CEOs that are out there, how often do your team ask you to, oh, could you just pop in and say hi at the beginning of this meeting? This is a really important prospect. Or maybe it's even coming in to pop in and say hi on a really important interview. Our team members invite us into those types of conversations. Why? Because CEO presence speaks volumes. A CEO showing up for a meeting means, hey, the company really cares. The CEO took time out of their day to pop in and say hi. We are that important to them. So if these are ways in the past that we have tried, wanted to get CEOs involvement and have their presence, have an impact, it directly translates and relates to leaders creating content and leading with their content. And by the way, when I'm talking about content and I'm talking like easy ways of CEOs being able to create content. By the way, I'll give this more detail at the end, but on April 11th, Mark Hunter, you guys know Mark Hunter, the sales hunter, he has invited me to do a webinar with him on the 1 hour per week CEO playbook for leader-led content to grow your business. We'll put that link in here and you can find the registration, but that's on April 11th with Mark Hunter and I. And we're going to talk about the 1 hour a week playbook, because I know one of the big obstacles with so many CEOs is I don't have time. I don't have time for content. And I believe that we don't not have time. Like, we have to make time to create content, because it's the only thing that really will create that uniqueness to our business that we really, really, I think, desperately need. So, hey, I want to end with I want to talk about some myths. I think as I talk about leader-led content and I encourage leaders and CEOs to create content, through the years, I've had lots and lots of conversations, and I've created, I actually wrote this as an ebook about the 7 myths that CEOs believe about LinkedIn that's costing them millions. So I want to talk a little bit about those, because if you're there thinking like, yeah, this whole content thing is a nice to have, but it's not necessary. I think if we believe that way, we're very, very wrong, and we're doing a huge disservice to our companies, because we as CEOs are the only ones that carry that CEO title. And people care about what we think, what we know, and we can add that humanity or personification to our business unlike anyone else in our business. So I'm going to address the myths that keep a lot of people um, out of creating leader-led content, and then we're going to wrap up. So myth number 1 is LinkedIn is just for job seekers. LinkedIn's evolved, and maybe when you started with LinkedIn, it really was focused on resumes and searching for jobs, but LinkedIn is the social networking platform for businesses in 2025. There's no other platform that's competing with it. This is where people go to show up. And it's not just for job seekers, because think about this. I mean, think about the way any of us behave. If we learn about somebody, here's the example. I met with somebody this morning here in our office, and they said, "Oh, do you know so and so?" And I said, "Oh, no, I don't." Like, "Oh, I think I need to get you introduced to each other." Da 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 da. What did I do? I went to LinkedIn. I pulled up his name, and I looked and I started to read about him. I wanted to get to know, like, who is this person that this other person wants to introduce me to see if it's worth my time, if I think it's strategically the right decision for me to spend my time doing it. That is what people do with us. So LinkedIn is not just for job seekers. It's really important because people go to LinkedIn to see, who are you? And should I respond to your email? Should I return your call? Should I go to your talk at the conference that's coming up? Lots of reasons, but people primarily will go to LinkedIn. The other piece with that about not being for job seekers is that LinkedIn is an amazing SEO tool. So if people go to Google your name and your company, chances are they're going to get your LinkedIn page to come up pretty quickly. And then you have this real estate, this digital opportunity to share with people who you are. And the difference between, hey, I've got this LinkedIn profile and I have a LinkedIn profile and I have all this content that I share. I've got carousels, I do videos, I have LinkedIn newsletters, I have blog articles on my website that I've written. There's a big difference in their perception about us and about our companies based on the type of content, the amount of content, the consistency of content that we create. I mean, think about it. If we're looking at two different LinkedIn profiles and one is kind of a resume, it's just there, there's no content, never shared a post, just there, and somebody who's got this consistently content, other people commenting on their content, being engaged with them and commenting on others, who seems more active and more credible in the industry? Who would you want to speak with if those are your two options? So that was number one, LinkedIn for job seekers. Number two, personal branding is just self promotion. That is a myth. Personal branding, thought leadership is about brand promotion, but it comes through an individual's voice and experience. It really is about building the brand, but coming through a leader's voice, experience, and what they share. Myth number three, marketing has social media covered for us. If we're only relying on marketing to do social and to create content, we are limiting the voices, the experience, and the opportunities. I mean, think about this. If we do an event, if you do an event, like you go to, here's one, right? You go to the conference and you pay to be a sponsor and you get your breakout session. You get to be on stage. Maybe it's a smaller room. You're hoping 300-400 people from the show are going to show up. You get to decide who's on stage and what they're going to talk about. What we do, we put people up there and they tell their stories, they tell their experiences, they share their case studies. We use people in order to do that because people connect better with people. We don't bring a bunch of people in a room and then turn on a video and try to share with them like a video based brochure. Um, we want the audience to connect with humans. So marketing isn't just for marketing isn't the only one that should be using social and creating content. We have to have that leader-led content to give voice and humanity and personality. Number four, this one's interesting. I don't have anything important to say. I am not an influencer or an influential voice in my industry. I hear that one a lot, and I get it. There's a fear to it. Like we don't want to self-promote ourselves and say, "Oh, I'm this important voice. I want to be an influencer." No, it's really goes back to what I was sharing earlier about why does our team ask leaders to pop into meetings or ask leaders to come with us to certain meetings or to go say hi to somebody or oh if you're in this city would you mind going over there and saying hi? Why? Because the CEO presence, the leadership presence speaks a lot. It's beyond the somebody popping in and saying hi. It's the CEO took time to come in. You're important. When leaders, when CEOs, when sales, when they're creating content, they're taking the time, they're sharing from their experiences. It just receives different than just a simple marketing message. And look, if you're CEO of a company, you're CEO, sales leader of a company, you have important things to say. You obviously have experience. You obviously been in this industry for a long time. You've had different experiences over the years. You have opinions on what's going on that are important. And when you share that content, like you were having dinner with a few customers and prospects and a few colleagues, and they're like, hey, well, what do you think about this? And you share your experience. People want to know. It reminds me of, us Gen X and baby boomers. It reminds me of that old E.F. Hutton commercial when we were kids. You remember that commercial? They're, big dinner, restaurant, really crowded, everybody's talking, and the person goes, "Well, my broker is E.F. Hutton." And E.F. Hutton says, and the whole room gets quiet and everybody leans in and wants to listen. When CEOs talk, when leaders of companies share their content and their experiences, that's really what happens. We may not believe it, we may not feel it because we don't think that highly of ourselves. We don't think we're that important, but your title makes you that important, and your experience in the space and in the industry and with the products and services, that does make you a leader. And when you share your thoughts, that's how you become a thought leader. Okay, wrapping these up. Number 5 myth: our customers are not on LinkedIn. Your customers are using LinkedIn for a variety of reasons. They may not be creating a lot of content, but they're probably using it for research. They're probably using it to see who people are. They're going to do research on your company and see who people are there. So when they go there, do they see a blank slate on your company page, on your personal profile? Or do they see a thriving person who's communicating and creating content and being very, very active in the industry? And that reputation is created where they go, wow, this person's really involved. Credibility. Number 6, we tried LinkedIn before and it didn't work. you know, um, we get it, right? We tried things and maybe they didn't work. We tried things years ago and maybe it was a LinkedIn guru or expert, and you changed your profile pages and added banners and did some things with the profile, and POs didn't just start flying out of the sky. I get it. Um, LinkedIn is much more of an active place than that, and maybe what you did back then uh, didn't work. But my encouragement is LinkedIn and leader-led content deserves another view because it's 2025. It's where people go to learn, to share, to do some research. So number 7, the last one is the myths or the reasons that leaders don't like to create content and be on LinkedIn, and it's costing them millions. Number 7 is I don't have time to create content. And that will lead me to wrap up with the reminder that Mark Hunter and I are doing a webinar on April 11th. We'll put the link into the comments here. We're doing the webinar. We're going to talk about the 1 hour per week, 1 hour per week CEO playbook to create leader-led content to grow all areas of your business. Hint: it usually comes around a show and a podcast like this, because generally, like what we do with a lot of our customers and what we're going to do with this show is we'll take a 35 to 40-minute show and create 20 or more pieces of content that goes to your blog, it goes into your newsletter, goes into sales emails, it goes into short video form on YouTube and LinkedIn. It's going to go into written LinkedIn newsletters, 20 pieces of content that comes from the leader's voice, their experiences. It comes in the show format. I highly recommend doing shows with a co-host, and I love having guests because this solo thing is really hard, and I'm struggling, to be honest. Um, but we're going to talk a little bit about that because you do have time and you can make time. And I think my encouragement to you is do the research, talk to people, see where leader-led content is helping companies really grow and stand out and helping build pipeline, helping retain customers, retain team members, recruit team members. When you do the research and you see how valuable it is, hey, CEOs, it's like all other activities that we do. We don't love them all, but we know that a lot of them are part of our job description. We have to do them because we're the only ones that carry that CEO title. or we're the only one that carries a CRO title. And so we do activities because we have to. It's good for our company. I believe as we move deeper into the 2020s, that leader-led content is going to be the big differentiator uh, to help your company stand out, to build pipeline. I want to end with this. My good friend Carson Hetty, who is a very successful sales rep with Microsoft. He's my co-host of our other show, Mastering Modern Selling. He's the best-selling author of two books, Salesman on Fire and The Show Must Go On. And hey, if you guys aren't following or know Carson, Carson's going to become one of the big gurus and goats of sales over the next 5 to 10 years. You just watch. He'll be on more stages, sharing his experiences. And one of the things that I love when Carson said this, it really just stuck out in my head, is the content piece of all this. And don't worry about LinkedIn. Just look at the content piece of all of this. Carson says, in this competitive landscape, we have to do everything we can to increase the probability of our success. And over the last, I think, 14 years that he's been a leading sales rep with Microsoft, and prior to that, he attributes that to his content, his personal brand, putting himself out there with shows and newsletter articles and all the content that he creates. So that's my encouragement for you. As we move into this show, Revenue Through Reputation, we're going to talk a lot about leader-led content and how it contributes to all areas of company growth. I'm, I'm going to have guests come on. I may have a co-host come on as well. But look, this show has been really important to me because I'll be honest, I was scared to do this show, my own imposter syndrome. Look, I have been using content to help leaders grow their company since 1997. Since 1997, I've been doing this. I happened into a startup. I was a number one employee at the startup, and we were using content to help small businesses grow their reputation, to become more well known, and to get more buyers to come into their organizations. And after we sold that company, and I worked with the new owners for a few years, I moved on and started my first company all by myself. And we did the exact same thing. We were using content to build reputation, to network, to stay top of mind, to stand out in crowded fields and fill pipeline and create new revenue. So I spent my career doing this, and it's time for me. I want to share back everything that I've learned, why it's important, and most importantly, I think I want to build a community of especially Gen X and baby boomer leaders. If this concept of content, even social, it makes you nervous, this should be the community for you. My goal is to make this stuff convenient for you, 1 hour per week. I want to give you confidence that you can do this and that's good for your company. And we've got bumpers in place that you're not going to hurt your reputation or hurt your business's reputation. Um, we want to give some credibility to you through this content and help you stand out. Um, and I want to give you some confidence that you can do this. It could even be fun. And really, it's going to help you lead your company in a whole new level. So, hey, thank you all so much for joining me with episode one. Not every episode is going to be me talking. I think it gets a little boring, and hopefully, I wasn't too boring today. But I'm very passionate about this, and I think you all need to be too. You need to take a serious look at how your voice, your personality needs to lead the content for your business. And you won't regret it. It will help all areas. of your company grow. So thank you so much for joining me. If you have any topics or questions, send them my way. And let's go have some fun with this. If you know any other CEOs and CROs or sales leaders that are that Gen X and baby boomer age, and they've been struggling with this whole digital content thing and just not wanting to do it, man, send them over. Love to have a chat with them. Love to bring them in and see if we can all collectively help each other. So thank you so much, everybody. Have a wonderful day and the rest of the week. I will see you next time on the Revenue Through Reputation show.